Hello everyone, this is CJ with Cyclotron. Well, Harley Davidson just had their fourth quarter earnings call, so they've updated their financial information for the full year of 2022, and spoiler alert, it was good news, certainly for the short term. But as is typical with Harley, that doesn't tell the whole story, and I think there are some significant warning signs to be ferreted out here by going through this financial information that they disclosed today. I'll cover that, what I see as the implications going forward, things to keep an eye on, as well as some of the newsworthy items that were mentioned during the earnings call here today. So let's start with the top line financial information. Harley had an 8% increase in revenue and a 14% increase in net revenue and an 18% increase in earnings per share. So that's certainly good news for Harley. Now let's take a deeper look here. They showed that they shipped 193,000 motorcycles, which is up from 188,000 from last year. And you can see that their revenues coming in from motorcycle sales for the most part. Parts and accessory sales were down. They said it was related to supply chain issues, not being able to get as many parts into this pipeline as they would like. Apparel sales have gone up. Licensing is about even. But to me, this is the real noteworthy thing. If you look at units sold, so last year, worldwide, 2022, Harley Davidson sold 178,000 motorcycles, which is down significantly from 193,000 motorcycles the year before. So that's an 8% decrease. The biggest decreases were in North America and in Latin America. So Harley's total sales were down 12% in North America and down 20% in Latin America. Pretty well flat in Europe, and 12% growth in the Asia Pacific region. So what we can see here is that Harley's building up their inventory. It's up considerably from where it was last year, although it's down well below the recent highs of 2019 from the last quote-unquote normal year. So how is Harley doing so well by selling fewer bikes? To me, this is one of the more noteworthy slides that came out of today's presentation. Harley went from making $13,000 per motorcycle profit in 2019 to $3,500 last year, and they expect that number to increase slightly for this year. I mean, that's pretty substantial. How are they doing that? Well, they're not discounting. Quite the contrary, they're adding surcharges. They're finding ways to charge money in various manners that they didn't do before. So bikes are just getting much more expensive. And it looks like they're doing things to better control their costs on the supply chain and materials, so that's going to contribute to the bottom line as well. As expected, the Wall Street really liked the financial results, and there's a big bump in Harley's stock price here this morning. Now, I mentioned Harley sold fewer motorcycles in North America last year compared to the previous year, but that means really it's a result of a loss of market share. Harley's market share in the US has gone from 45% now down to 41%. And it's flat in Europe, but they've managed to increase their market share in the large cruiser and touring segment. So I guess they're doing relatively well compared to, say, Indian and maybe BMW for their big touring bikes and Honda for their Goldwing. So Harley's had some slight gains there on a competitive basis. Now let's look at some other storm clouds here aside from the decrease in market share in the United States. Harley Davidson Financial Services had a 3% increase in revenue last year over the prior year, but their operating income was down 23%. So what's going on there? Well, their loan defaults have gone up from 1.2 to 1.9%, and the 1.2% is essentially atypically low because of all the stimulus checks that were coming in during that time period. Right now, the default rate at 1.9% is close to the historical average, although Harley Davidson expects this number to increase in the coming months and years. Harley also indicated they're making less money on the financial division because of their borrowing costs with higher interest rates having an impact, which is interesting to me. Is you would think that maybe a lender would just have the same margin or just add the same amount on top of what it costs them to borrow money when they lend money. I don't know if this suggests that in some fashion that Harley's taking lower margins on their loans just to keep selling motorcycles. But it is kind of a worrisome trend because Harley historically has had their financial division be one of their leading sources of profit in the company. So another storm cloud is LiveWire. Harley knew they were going to lose money on LiveWire, but they're losing quite a bit. This last year they lost $85 million, mostly because they sold far fewer bikes, a few hundred LiveWires, as opposed to a few thousand forecast. LiveWire's projecting maybe 20,000 LiveWires sold this year. Compare that to their previous projection of 7,000 LiveWire units. So LiveWire is going to be a continued drag on Harley Davidson profitability. Harley told everybody that LiveWire was going to lose money but turn a profit in 2026, but that remains to be seen. It's kind of a worrying trend. They are looking to the future, but they're hemorrhaging cash. And unfortunately for Harley Davidson, they own 89% of LiveWire stock when they plan to own less than 70% of that stock. So they had to buy a greater percentage of the stock when some of the earlier investors fled. So that's another warning sign that maybe some people were concerned about how well LiveWire is actually going to do in the coming years. And let's look at Harley's cash flow. Harley owes a lot of money, billions of dollars, and the interest rates have gone up. They've used some of their cash to buy back their stock, which I think most companies would be better off investing in marketing and research and development for new products. So that's not a good sign that they're spending a lot of their cash. They expect to have about the same amount of cash generated this year, which is down significantly, almost half from what it was last year. So let's talk about some of the news. Harley confirmed that the 350 Chinese-made parallel twin motorcycle will be replacing the 500 Streets in Harley's Riding Academy, basically the MSF type riding courses that they have at various Harley dealerships throughout the country. Harley indicated that they had something special planned relative to their riding academy. An analyst asked the CEO of Harley directly whether Harley was going to do something special with those 350 RA motorcycles relative to offering them for sale to academy graduates. And their CEO said no, categorically that motorcycle wouldn't be offered for sale in North America. However, he did say there was some kind of surprise or development that they will announce at a later time. So that makes me wonder if they're going to have some type of lottery system or certain percentage of Rider Academy graduates will have their name put in a hat, as it were, and there'll be a certain number of them that will be able to win their Academy bike, their 350 RA. And I think eventually Harley's going to find a way to make these bikes available for sale here in the United States, and that might be the initiating point for it. Going back to the LiveWire, Harley's looking to roll that out for sale in Europe here in 2023, and they're really counting on Europe to support the LiveWire sales, so we'll see there. Some other news on the call is, it's been in the news, but Harley has basically directed all their people at headquarters in Milwaukee to work from home, or continue to work from home, and they're closing the campus, and they're going to turn it into a city park for the city of Milwaukee. I've had occasion in the last few weeks for other business to visit some international engineering firms that are headquartered here in Kansas City. And you're walking through their office space and you see lots and lots of people. And I said, are they done working from home? They said, oh yeah, we want everybody back in the office. There's a lot of flexibility. If you got a sick kid or it's a snow day, you can work from home on a periodic basis, but by and large, they expect people to come into the office because there's such a benefit by having people together, sharing ideas, reinforcing the company culture. It's much easier to do than if you have everybody dispersed on a remote basis. So to me, that's interesting relative to Harley Davidson. They have design groups, they have marketing groups. What happens when people aren't riding their motorcycle to work at Harley Davidson headquarters anymore? I think Harley's missing out on that. I think it's a kind of an opportunistic thing where they could probably generate some huge tax savings by donating that land and doing something with the buildings and get some tax savings there and realize other benefits. But from a long-term trend standpoint, I think it's a bit concerning. But let me know what you think about that. Is it good that people at Harley headquarters work from home now, and there will be no mechanism for them to meet on a regular basis and to collaborate for their work products. So let me know what you think about that one. So to recap, very good news short term for Harley Davidson's financial performance. Decrease in market shares concerning. The hemorrhaging of money with their Livewire division is also concerning. Another bit of news that I didn't cover. Harley said that they've got some initiative with their dealerships. They're calling it Fuel, where they're going to renovate their dealerships, and they expect most of their dealers to participate. So I suspect this will be another mechanism for them to close dealerships that don't want to play ball. So again, it's probably going to favor the mega dealerships. You know, Harley pushed their dealerships to build out 50,000 square foot facilities in the early 2000s. And that's been quite a burden for some people with high overhead costs. So they're talking about some kind of buildup. I don't know if it's going to be trying to cram more apparel into the showroom that would have been occupied by bikes, if they're selling fewer bikes each year, if they're going to try and turn it into some kind of lifestyle cafe. I have no idea. So again, let me know what you think that Harley might be up to with their planned upgrades or renovations for these dealerships. Well, thanks very much. That's it for today. Please stay tuned for future videos. And if you haven't done so already, please hit those subscribe and notification buttons. Thanks very much.